This is the Horse Radio Network. This is episode 43 of Horse Tip Daily, a different horse tip, a different equine topic, a different equestrian expert every day. Horse Tip Daily brings the world of equine knowledge to you one day at a time. Enjoy today's tip. I am Glenn the Geek from Lexington, Kentucky, and you're listening to Horse Tip Daily. We are back after the holiday weekend, and I hope you had a safe, horse-filled weekend. If you enjoy the show and get a chance today, please send an email to 5 of your horsey friends and tell them about the show. Or we have a Facebook fan page. Search for Horse Tip Daily and invite your friends to follow too. Thank you for all your help in making this the biggest horse radio show on the internet. Today I have a good friend and fellow Lexingtonian back with me. Lyndsey White is one of the most knowledgeable people in her field that I've ever met, and a very nice person too. She is domestic and international product manager for Succeed Digestive Conditioning Formula. She knows more about the horse's digestive tract than anyone I know. Lyndsey will be joining us on a regular basis to talk about horses' health as she relates to what they eat and how they process it. Let's say hi to Lyndsey. Well, hi, Lyndsey. Welcome back to Horse Tip Daily. It's always a pleasure to speak with you.
Hi, Glenn. How are you today?
Good. Now, it's not like we don't talk other times, because we talk a lot, but it's nice to speak with you on the air, too.
That it is indeed. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
So you're talking, obviously, you're with Succeed, which is one of our biggest sponsors, actually. And you know, we enjoy working with you guys, and you are just a wealth of knowledge. The first time I ever saw you was when you were giving a talk on the horse's digestive system, and my wife and I were very impressed. So I'm glad that we now get to have you on here to impress everybody else. Now, there's no pressure and no setup.
Oh, pressure. Definitely on now.
Yep, it's up to you now. You're up.
There you go. Well, my tip of the day is why horses might back off their feed. People kind of tend to overlook reasons as to why the horse might suddenly not want to eat its food. And it isn't just because the horse has just decided that day he wants to be difficult and say, I don't want my feed, because horses really do like being fed.
Sort of like horse husbands.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I never have that problem of backing off my feed. That's the problem, is I never have that problem, Lyndsey.
Well, they always say a way to a man's heart is through his stomach.
And it is true. I will vouch for that.
There you go. So I came up with 2 kind of key things to think about. Not the only reasons why a horse may go off its feed, but certainly very important ones, and ones that do come up quite frequently. And the first one of those is what is in the bag of feed may have changed. So in other words, you're like a bag of hard feed, whether that be pellets, sweet feed, whatever. And the horse owner might not even be aware of that. And basically, feeds are one of 2 categories. They're either fixed formulation feeds, and what we mean by that is all of the ingredients in the bag of food are listed individually on the feed tag. So you'll see things such as oats, corn, soybean meal, etc. Or the other category for horse feeds is called least cost formulation feeds. And what was that again? Least cost formulation.
Oh, least cost. Okay, gotcha.
Least cost, yeah. And that's where ingredients can be grouped together. So you might see things on the tags such as grain byproducts, plant protein products, etc. And with a least cost formulation feed, the feed manufacturer can legally alter the amounts of ingredients and change physically the ingredients in a bag of food. So from week to week, what's in the bag may not be the same. So if the horse suddenly says, oh, this feed tastes a little different, that could be a very key reason as to why it doesn't want to eat it, because literally the taste of the feed has changed, and it might perhaps not like one of the new ingredients that's been included in the bag.
Oh, I didn't. I've never even thought about that.
Yeah, because we tend to just, particularly with pellets, unless you really break open a pellet and take a good look at it, what's in that pellet can change quite often, and you would never even have a clue. And all of a sudden, they might take something out because it's very expensive for them to include, and the cost of it's gone up, and put a substitute in, and the horse is like, hey, I don't really like the taste of this. This tastes kind of funny, so I'm not going to eat it. So that's something to think about. That doesn't happen with fixed formulation feeds because they stay the same from week on week, but it can happen with least cost formulation feeds. The other reason, a very key reason to consider when a horse may refuse its feed, is that the horse may have some sort of GI tract issue. And literally, horses are just like us. If our stomach is really hurting, and when we eat, it hurts to eat, horse is exactly the same. It can very easily back off its food because it's a pain response, and when it eats, it hurts, particularly if it's suffering from something like gastric ulceration, and it just doesn't feel good, so it's backed off its food. So if you kind of examine the feed and do a little bit of an investigation and figure out that the feed itself hasn't changed, another thing to consider might be the horse has a GI tract issue.
And you go ahead.
And I was going to say, diagnosis of a suspected GI tract condition, you should always really talk to your veterinarian as your first point of call. And he may do things like, other than looking at clinical symptoms, he may run blood work or fecal blood testing or things of that nature to try and identify if the horse does have an issue.
All right. So those two things are the biggest. And, of course, mold, I guess, is another issue, too, that you run into in the hotter climates, and especially depending on where you keep your feed. Yeah.
But they're two things that I think come up time and again. They're two of the biggest ones that we see. I've been in barns before where a horse owner said, I just don't know why this horse isn't eating the feed. And I've pulled apart the pellets of a particular brand of feed, which shall remain anonymous. I don't want to get into any trouble here. And literally they've substituted out soybean meal, which is the number one source of protein and very good source of protein, quality protein for horses. And because it was so expensive per ton for them to include, they put in instead cottonseed meal, which is not very palatable for a horse, and it's a much lower grade quality of protein.
Did you say coffee? Actually, coffee?
Cottonseed meal.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
It's my accent. I'm sorry.
I know. I didn't get that one.
There you go. Cottonseed meal. So, those changes can happen in the bag, and you'd never even stop to think that what you're feeding the horse has changed. So, they're not, like you said, there's molds, there's other reasons why a horse may back off its feed. It may need its teeth floating, and it's hurting, like if it has a sharp tooth and it's got an abscess in its mouth, that can be another reason why they'll stop to eat. But those two that I did kind of go over, they're the two definitely biggest ones that I see time and again.
So how do you tell if the owner is not so good at figuring out what was in the feed in the first place and that it may have changed? I guess the other course is to, how long would you say to wait before they call the vet? Or, I don't know. You're not a veterinarian, but I understand that. But you know what I'm asking is how did they tell the difference?
It would really depend on the clinical symptoms. I mean, if the horse is suddenly having other symptoms of looking ill, it's rapidly losing weight, or it's suspected the horse has a higher temperature or something like that, obviously they're kind of red flags to call the vet as soon as possible.
Right.
If it's just a day or two and, there doesn't seem to be that much wrong with the horse, but you are starting to see some more grain in the manure, which is classic for feed not being digested fully and perhaps a sign as well of a GI tract condition. Those things might give it a day or two. It's not, don't call the vet immediately. It's not like it's an emergency, but certainly anything, if the horse is exhibiting symptoms of colic or, anything like that, you should always call your vet straight away.
All right, great, Lyndsey. Well, we appreciate that. Where can they learn more about Succeed?
At our website, which is www.succeeddcp.com.
Very good. Well, we appreciate you being on, and we'll have you back for sure. Will you come back?
I will do that.
All right, good. We'll talk to you soon, Lyndsey. Well, thank you to Lyndsey and Succeed for joining us today. You will find all Lyndsey's links on our bio page and on our website at horsetipdaily.com. You can drop me an email at glenn@horseradionetwork.com and let me know if you're enjoying the show and if you have any other specific tips you want to hear about. You can also subscribe through iTunes or Zune and get the daily tips automatically downloaded to your iPod, Zune, or MP3 player. Another great way to do that is on Facebook, as I mentioned earlier. Just search for Horse Tip Daily. And don't forget to check out all our other great shows on the Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com. Well, I'll be back again tomorrow with another new expert and a different horse tip. Until then, stay safe, everyone.